Don't you just love it when a song fades out at the exact right time? Welcome. Happy Saturday, hackers. Welcome to Saturday Hacker Day. My name is Taggart, and today we've got a lot going on. But before we do that, we have a few news stories from this week that I want to touch on. As always, to kick us off, some really cool research and unfortunately a scarier version of an existing vulnerability, but CVE 2022-37958 has been upgraded. I don't think they changed the CVSS score, but Microsoft has changed this vulnerability, which was rated as a moderate, now to a critical, after research from IBM X-Force Red demonstrated that it could lead to remote code execution. Now, this SPN ego acronym is sort of like this. It's not recursive, but it's sort of a nested acronym. It's short for Simple and Protected GSS API Negotiation Mechanism. So that's a whole mouthful. But essentially, it's, according to the story and what I've read, is a methodology that allows a client and a server to decide mutually what protocol is going to be used, either Kerberos or NTLM, for authentication. That's basically what it's about. And essentially, because of flaws in this, if SMB, HTTP, or RDP are exposed on an endpoint, you can certainly crash the machine. I've seen that demo, and very likely lead to remote code execution. So the proof of concept was put out by X-Force Red this week. Chompy 1337, if you know Chompy on both Twitter and now on Mastodon, put out the POC, and it looks really good. So make sure that patch, which did come in with the original patch was released in September, but it was incomplete, and so I believe a new patch is upcoming. Yeah, there have been some fun vulnerabilities this week. This week's Patch Tuesday, I'm not reporting on a whole lot of what came out for this Patch Tuesday because we have yet to see what is possible with them, but there are some things to watch out for, like PowerShell remote code execution vulnerabilities and things like that. I will wait until there's a POC to really report on that. How about some good news? On Friday, late Friday, this was really just kind of like a Friday news dump. It was almost like they didn't want people to know about it, but Gmail has now added end-to-end encryption in addition to end-to-end encryption solutions that they already had for other offerings in Workspace, like Google Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides. You get the idea. But now sensitive data can be encrypted client-side on Gmail, meaning that when the mail is sent from your web browser, it has already been encrypted client-side so that the mail servers never see the unencrypted version of the message. I think that is really cool. I definitely want to set that up. For a long time, I was trying to get users of Gmail to do encryption with an extension called FlowCrypt, which would add PGP encryption to Gmail, but it was a huge hassle, right? Having end-to-end encryption in this way at least allows you to be fairly certain that Google servers cannot read your mail. Blacktimus, thank you so much for comments about PWST. Really appreciate that. Let's see. We have a little bit more good news, but I don't think that's what comes next. Oh no, it is. I did a good news sandwich. Okay, so also good news. GitHub is rolling out secret scanning for all public repositories. This is huge. So GitHub has had a lot of automated tools for securing your code. Look, Dependabot has been really helpful for me whenever there's like a vulnerable version of a dependency in NPM or even in Cargo for Rust projects. It will alert me about them and suggest a pull request to update the dependencies. I think this is really helpful. I've enjoyed it. But now, sort of in conjunction with the GitHub search that they've released, which is a lot more powerful than it used to be, they're going to allow free scanning of exposed secrets. So they're going to look for anything that looks like API keys, authentication tokens. They're saying that there are over 200 token formats that this thing is going to automatically search for. And if you have a public repository that has any of those patterns that match, it will alert you about them. I think this is a really handy tool. It's something that makes the service worthwhile, right? There are reasons to use and reasons not to use GitHub, but I do think that this kind of security aspect is a huge value add for people like me who do use GitHub. This is not going to be enabled by default. You have to enable it per repository, so that's going to be in your settings. Just be aware of that. All right. And now, how about a really ridiculous compromise from this week, which is the FBI's InfraGard information sharing website, which it turns out was pretty easy for an attacker to gain an account on. I heard a story of AWS emailing someone after they posted their secret into GitHub. Yeah, I mean, there were manual reviews for big repos, but now this is available for everybody automatically. Right, so the FBI InfraGard site was an information sharing site designed to essentially allow better protection of critical infrastructure. Think of it as an ISAC for law enforcement. Now, and also for major industry. So on the breached forum, there was a for sale database of users of InfraGard. How did this happen? According to the story on Krebs, basically the attacker got all of the personal information of a very, very prominent executive at a company that would likely sign up for InfraGard, including phone number, social security, email. So use that information to sign up for an account on InfraGard. Signups are manually reviewed, but because all of that information looked legitimate, there was no confirmation sent, like there was no sent to a text message or anything like that. There was a send to an email, but the email was compromised, and therefore they were able to get in. Consequently, once they were in, that was kind of part one. So already you have an account on a site you probably shouldn't have an account on. But that wasn't really the biggest problem. The biggest problem was that once inside, the attacker abused an API that loaded data about user accounts to the front end. And that API did not have sufficient security. It essentially was insecure direct object reference, right? IDOR, where the attacker was able to enumerate all of the user accounts and get data for every user ID that they wanted. So basically just wrote a Python script and queried the database for every possible user ID. So that sucks. But it is also true that if you look closer into the data that is for sale, a lot of the sensitive fields are blank. Now, that might be because the data was incomplete in the database, first of all, or it's possible that there was some access control on the API that prevented those fields from being populated in the response. Unsure which way. Either way, though, it really shouldn't have been possible for that API to have been enumerated in that way, and it definitely shouldn't have been possible for the attacker to be able to gain access in that way without some sort of second factor to prove identity. So, I mean, the only thing I can really take away from this is that I will never be out of work because the organizations that are most responsible for secure communications still make these mistakes. And it's easy to sort of blame via metonymy. Metonymy, if you're not familiar with that term, sorry, English major coming out. Metonymy is when you use an object to represent an organization or an entity. So, for example, when you say the White House reported on Friday, that's metonymy. You're really saying the executive branch or the presidency, right? But you say the White House. So in this case, like the Hoover Building or the FBI, right? Or it's not that. It's not the whole organization really that is to blame. It is the process that develops software for these organizations that misses secure coding practice. Application security is still something that is, I think, in its infancy, and this proves it. We have a lot of work to do to build secure coding practices into software development to prevent these mistakes from even getting into staging, to say nothing of production. All right, that does it for the news. Just gonna ban this follow vendor here. And now we are on to our main material for today. This is probably going to be a bit of a longer one. I am trying to study for the 0-point security certified red team operator exam. Many have done it before. I haven't, and red team is uncomfortable for me, right? I'm a defender most of the time. And so I'm trying to make sure that I understand all of the Windows enumeration stuff. I'm trying to understand all of the proper practices that you would go through in order to execute this well. So I do not do well with going into tests even moderately unprepared. I like to make sure that it's another Tuesday when I go to the exam. I want to be maximally over-prepared. So I have this roadmap of challenges that I want to complete for myself in order to prove that, yes, I feel like I'm ready to do this. One of them, and I feel like the baseline one, is this Try Hack Me network that many folks have done before, but I've never done it on stream, which is the Throwback network. And one of the reasons is because it's paid, right? It's $60 for... Yeah, it's like $60 for 45 days of access, I think is the deal. Or 30 days? Yeah, it's $60 for 30 days, and then $80 for 45 days. So I have 30 days of this, but I want to kind of power through it as much as I can. So today we're going to start the enumeration process. So we're going to do it as carefully as possible, and that will include taking notes with my favorite note-taking tool, Joplin. And we'll be using Sliver, we'll be using Zap, we'll be using the tools that we've discussed on this stream before, instead of the stuff that you would use on CRTO like Cobalt Strike, because I don't have a Cobalt Strike license. I tried to get one and they refused to do business with me. And then but there's enough analog between the two that hopefully it'll translate, and of course our normal web app stuff when that's appropriate. Let's get to it. Later for you news. Okay, so we have started this up, and I did a little bit of pre-enum just to make sure that we didn't have a whole lot of dead air. So we are given 3 hosts at the beginning for enumeration, right? We have our firewall, which kind of starts compromised. We have a mail server, it looks like, and a production machine inside this 10.200.11 subnet. Fine. And so I have gone ahead and enumerated that entire thing. And this is what we get. I just use straight nmap, to be honest with you. I wouldn't do rust scan for this because I kind of just needed to know all the ports anyway. But so this is what I have. We have 22, 53, 80, 443. This is on number 138. So this is the firewall. So it's got SSH, DNS, a web server, which we'll take a look at, and an HTTPS version of the web server. All right. And what comes next? We have 219, which is Windows, and it has SSH open. That's interesting. It also has a web server. So this is 232, right? No, this is 219. This is 219. Let me show you what the notes look like so far. Just a little bit of enumeration here. And again, I'm using Joplin for my note-taking. I'm using Joplin for a couple of different reasons, and I want to talk about why. One, it's fast. I have stopped using Notion, in all honesty, for note-taking, and it's because all of the cool stuff that you can do with Notion to format the document and make pretty blocks of content get in my way. I am very much a plain text kind of guy, and so the more you get in the way of me writing Markdown, the more frustrated I'm going to get with the tool. That's basically what I've learned about how I like to take notes. Joplin doesn't get in my way, but it does do a couple of other things that I really appreciate. One, I have the option to encrypt my notes. So when we think about responsible red teaming, that's a huge consideration, right? I can encrypt my notes end to end. So even though I'm using Joplin Cloud to sync my notes between endpoints, they're end to end encrypted. I have the encryption key. Joplin does not, which means that if you think about saving your notes from an engagement in a responsible way, that is a responsible way to do it, because no third party ever sees the data that you're capturing from your engagement. You can also use other mechanisms to encrypt your or to store your data. You don't have to use Joplin Cloud. Joplin will also sync to OneDrive. It'll sync to S3 insanely. It doesn't do Google Drive, which is a bit of a shortcoming for me. But the other way that I used to use Joplin before I did Joplin Cloud was I would use a tool called SyncThing, which I think is worth taking a second to talk about, just because it's cool. Yeah, so SyncThing is a BitTorrent-based syncing protocol, but it's encrypted. And we go to security. Right, all communication is secured using TLS, and plus we're encrypting the notes. So it's BitTorrent, but better in a way. And with SyncThing, it's peer-to-peer, right? So if I have, you know, workstation A where I'm taking notes and I have workstation B where I'm taking notes, as long as they can communicate over BitTorrent, you're solid. I really like this. I've used SyncThing for a long time to sync data. So if you never want a third party touching your stuff, this is the way to do it. SyncThing.net. Okay. So we have these three machines. We have our notes ready to go. And this is what I found so far. So we have, we know the domain because of what we got back from Nmap. We have a firewall with these ports open. We have 219. This is prod throwback.local, or throwback prod, which appears to be an endpoint, but also maybe a web server. It has port 80 open, but it also has the normal Windows stuff. We've got 135, 139 for CIFS RPC. We have SMB open on 445. We have 3389 open for remote desktop. 5357 is a Microsoft HTTP API thing. And 5985, of course, is Windows Remote Management. Now, I'm rattling off these ports because I've practiced enough that I know these ports by heart. You don't have to, but you do have to know where to look for them. The good news is that Nmap will tell you. You just have to kind of understand what they're saying. Right, so 445, it says Microsoft DS, Directory Services, sort of, but it's SMB. And then Microsoft Window Terminal Services, that's remote desktop. All right, and our last one here, 232, we see that this is a Linux machine. We know that right away because it's showing us Ubuntu. It's got 80, so we'll put that in our notes that it is. It's an Ubuntu machine. 143, that's different. So that's Dovecot. That's a mail server. That's IMAP for a web server. And we have 993 for IMAP as well over SSL. So this appears to be a mail server. So we have our three hosts. And we can do a bunch of different kinds of enumeration here. We're thinking Windows, right? So we have some SMB to take a look at, right? We have an SMB port, so the first thing we might try to do is see if we can do any sort of anonymous enumeration against that port. So we can try SMB client, and we'll do // nope, sorry, my bad. What do we do? 10.200.11.219. SMB client has a bunch of different option flags if you're not super familiar with it. It's also not the only SMB enumeration tool that I use, but it tends to be my first stop. So SMB client -L is going to be for listing shares. I am not going to give it credentials here because I want to see what it gives me for free. The answer is nothing. And now I'm going to try with a blank username, which is -U%. See if that does any better. Okay, so obviously I need some sort of credentials in order to hit this thing, which I don't have yet, which is fine. The other tool, of course, that we can use is crackmap_exec. Ooh, interesting. Can you pipx upgrade? Is that a thing? I think I'm running into some tooling issues here where I upgraded this machine a while ago, and all right, whatever. Crackmap_exec is still here, right? What? There we go. Python 3 vend was missing. These are the things you need for pipx. What? Different. Okay. We'll wait on crackmap_exec until that's sorted. We do have some web stuff that we can do, though. Okay, so we've got pipx, install, force, crackmap_exec. Hey, Christy. Oh, that's so annoying. Local pipx. Yes. This is my experience every time. Yeah. The problem is not about crackmap_exec. The problem here is that when I upgraded my system from Python 3, I think 8 to 3.10, a bunch of stuff didn't come with it, including the things that pipx uses to install tools. And that's really what I'm running into here. And so rather than use, right, and we got to remove the onsite. So now error installing crack map exec. So uninstall. Yes. Okay. Now we will install pipex. Good. Now pipex ensure path. Okay. Pipex install crack map exec. Okay, what is happening? No module named pip. Oh, ensure pip. That's a thing. This is driving me nuts. Ask ChatGPT. No. Okay, so no. Okay, this is the pipex issue. So let's see. Here we go. So the issue, I was on the right track. I just wasn't. I didn't uninstall enough stuff. And then sudo pip3 install force pipex. There we go. So I've been using ChatGPT, right? And the more I use it, the less impressed I am. Finally. Okay, so we got crack map exec. I'm just going to call it CME for the rest of this because that is way too hard to say. So the way that I think the trick is that it is deeply misunderstood how ChatGPT works. ChatGPT is analyzing language in order to statistically predict what patterns of symbols, words, or phrases come next in a series. What is the most likely thing that will merit a successful response? That seems hard to do, but you have to understand how many iterations of training this model there have been in order to have that pathfinding work. And because of that, it feels like you're doing so. It feels like you're getting real responses because it is programmed to make you feel, or it's not programmed to make you feel like that, but the way that it was trained rewards those kinds of responses. But that doesn't mean they're accurate. In fact, it just means that they sound right. So if you're not familiar with John Searle, who's a modern philosopher, he's done a lot of work in this area, and he has this thought experiment called the Chinese room that I think really applies to ChatGPT. The Chinese room posits that you have a person in a room who has no access to the outside world, and messages in Chinese are slipped under the door. Also in the room is a machine that will instruct the person how to respond in Chinese. The person writes the Chinese characters, slips it back out under the door. The response is understood. The argument that Searle makes is that that person, of course, does not understand Chinese because he's only parroting what the machine said. That is not an accurate representation of what's happening with ChatGPT. Here's a better version of Chan Searle's ChatGPT that actually represents what's happening. Imagine, again, that person is in the room and messages are slipped under the door in Chinese. Also in the room with this person are a million books in Chinese, an infinite number of blank sheets of paper, an infinite amount of glue sticks, and a pair of scissors. The person in the room has to cut Chinese characters out of the book and make a ransom note and put it back together and slip that ransom note response under the door. Every time it's a nonsense response, the person gets electrocuted. So they learn what gets them electrocuted and what doesn't. Over time, the person will figure out the sequence of Chinese characters to put together that doesn't result in electrocution. Right? They don't get zapped. Does the person understand Chinese? No. What they understand is how to assemble the characters in such a way that a response is accepted. So that is closest, I think the closest I've come to coming up with an explanation for how that is what's going on in ChatGPT, right? The person in that room doesn't understand Chinese, and ChatGPT does not understand what you're saying. What it knows is how to produce responses that are accepted. Okay, let's get back to it. We have crack map exec, and the question was, what do we use it for? Well, one of the things we can use crack map exec for is SMB enumeration when we have data. So let's take our IP address 10.200.11.219, and we're going to try shares. It almost certainly won't work because I need to give it a username and a password, and we'll do it with blank username and password here. We'll see what happens. Okay, so crack map exec is working, but we don't have credentials. So we're off the SMB path for right now. Let's move over to HTTP because we know we have some web app stuff. The first thing is 232. This is the firewall. And right away, we see we're in a source login.php. Guests who require access to an email. Oh, sorry, this is the mail server. My bad. This is the mail server. Guests who require access to an email can use the following: tbh guest, welcome tbh1. Well, we're given credentials right away. So let me just screenshot this and put that inside of our notes. And I like to take notes based on network port. Your mileage may vary, but this is how I like to do it. So I've got the IP address, I've got the ports, and then I've got port 80 is kind of, this is where I'm going to find stuff, right? Okay. And in Zap, which of course I have set up, but let's proxy through Zap and reload this page. Great. So now we will include this in a new context. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Goose. Sorry to hear that you failed OSCP. Throwback helped me improve and pivoting wasn't valuable. Yeah, that's where I really want to focus, and the Kerberos stuff. All right, well, let's try these creds. TBH guest and welcome TBH1. Webmail.php. Now, let's just see what we've got here. Secret key. Okay. Just logged in as one. Hey, Royobite. All right. So what are we given here? Welcome to Throwback's guest email account. This account is meant to be used for any guests that happen to visit and need email access in their time visiting. Keeping in mind, everything you send is not private and can potentially be viewed by anyone. Please be careful what you do with this account. Oh, nice. We'll take a look at what is in sent and trash, but first we have a flag, which I assume is our first flag here. So we'll go over to the flag submission panel. Yes, that is our first flag. Okay. We'll go to sent because it tells us that there's something in sent. Vulnerabilities update. And in fact, we should be taking more notes. Let's go back to inbox and get the welcome. And I'm using Flame Shot here. To take my notes. And one thing I love about Joplin is that it's really easy to just copy and paste images in line with your markdown. No, so actually, I do have a Cobalt Strike license at work, but I can't use that for this stuff. No, I reached out to help systems and said, hey, I'm an educational InfoSec streamer. There's not a lot of content out there outside of Mudge's videos about Cobalt Strike. Can we make something happen? And they didn't just say, thanks, no thanks. They said, we will not do business with you. Do not contact us again. So that's fine. That's their prerogative. I was really hoping to demo some Cobalt Strike for everybody, but that's okay. That's okay. Sliver's been working great for me. I totally understand why they did that. That's a liability for them. I went to sent and then it said vulnerabilities update and then I didn't see anything. There we go. Good afternoon. Please open the file attached below in order to carry out essential vulnerability updates. Why, thank you. And we have usernames. We have usernames. This is super important. We have Daiba N. We have Davies J. And we have Blair J. Or J Blair. And there's more. Yeah, we're just going to straight up copy this. So, handy way to do this in Joplin would be to just put it in a code block. And I'm also... Bojack Horseman. I'm also going to Vim it up. You knew I was going to do that. Okay. So first thing we're going to... Whoops. First thing we're going to replace the commas with new lines. Just kidding. We're going to replace it with line breaks. There we go. We're going to replace those spaces at the beginning with nothing. I'm digging Joplin's color. It seems like Obsidian has limited color options. I mean, Obsidian has theming, and this theme is, of course, Dracula. I'll show you what I have set up. So my plugins for Joplin are pretty limited. That's the plugin bundle, which has a table of contents, inline to-dos, daily notes. I don't use all this, but I have it. Rich Markdown, by the way, solves your problem, OreoByte. This is what makes sure that the render for images happens in the editor mode. And then Joplin Excalidraw, which I'll show you in a second. But the appearance is Dracula, which was I just installed that. No problems at all. And so the table of contents is this thing right here, right? So it gives me a nice way to navigate my page. I also, if I put inline to-dos in, it'll show them to me here. If I can do daily notes and history. That's handy. And then finally, the Excalidraw plugin, which is the only other one I really use, makes it very handy to add diagrams. Right? Nice. And then I can just save that right in. Now, it doesn't render in this view. But if I open it up, it'll open back up here. And if I want to, I can save it as a ping. And that works just fine. So if I export it as a ping, I can load in the diagram. Little bit fussy, but the ability to have an inline diagrammer, I think, is worth it. I know that Obsidian has a similar plugin that works really well. Okay, so we've got these usernames, and I'm gonna remove quotes. Or am I? Yes, I'm gonna remove quotes. And I'm also going to remove brackets. So now what I can do, right, is if I've got my usernames, I can cut F space D3 usernames.text F. There we go. And I can just get my usernames when I need to use them. So I have both the names and the usernames as necessary. And if I need to, I can get rid of the @throwback.local easily enough. The Linux command line, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what's up with these vulnerabilities? There's an vulnerabilities update.exe. Okay. Seems legit. Documents. THM, throwback. Save that right here. What is up? Vulnerabilities update.exe. It is indeed a PE32 executable. Well, that's fun. What on earth is this thing? Let's pass it to strings, just for funsies. Think you just download a reverse shell of another player? Oh, really? It's entirely possible. I'm looking at the strings right now. Here we go. We got some command line access. Output CSV files. AppSocket receive. Some HTTP stuff here. I don't have a reverse shell. This is somebody else's. Wait for single object. Well, we know that it's not... let's look at this in Cutter, just because. I mean, I know it's... I think, Christy, you're probably right. It's probably somebody else's, because this isn't a closed network. But why not, right? Let's see. What are... Okay, our functions don't have names. Gonna switch it up to something a little chiller. There we go. And oh, interesting. So yeah, it's doing some sort of network analysis. Almost like a proxy. You know what I might do? Because it looks like it's unchanged, right? It's not customized in any way. I'm gonna SHA-256 it. And just out of curiosity, what did somebody else do? This is not, you know, this is a little outside the box thinking. But if you find something during a okay, so if you find something during an engagement, you have to report it, right? So this is a... Well, we got a lot of Thor matches. Details, relations, one contact IP, 10.10.151. That's somebody's internal. Nice. So we have that it's a reverse shell meterpreter. Okay, so it's somebody's meterpreter shell. That makes sense. Okay. And is that the deal? Now, we will not be using MSF Venom, despite what this says. This is going to be renamed to Sliver. Start Sliver up. How is Sliver when it comes to pivoting? Phenomenal. I've been basically doing... In CRTO, I've been moving... I've been taking the Cobalt Strike stuff and trying to translate it into Sliver, because that's what I use at work. So, yeah, we're going to use Sliver today as our C2. So, and of course... Now, let's see. So we'll fire up Sliver. And profiles. Okay, we're going to... Okay, so let's look at our IP address. 10.50.9.133. Okay, so we're going to make a new profile. Profiles. New. And this is going to be operating system Windows. MTLS. Quad 8. And format is going to be executable. We'll call this Throwback Windows. Hey, Tintin, this is the exact same message that you sent last time. Yeah, like, we have explanations about what's going on. We are doing TryHackMe's throwback room or network. Hey, Matt. Good to see you. Okay, so we have a new implant profile. If we look at our profiles now, we have this new one. We're also going to fire up the MTLS listener. And now we shall... you know what? We can do profiles remove ngrok or delete rm ngrok http. Don't need that one anymore. Profiles. Okay, so the throwback windows, we're going to do profiles generate throwback windows, and that's going to compile the exe, and then we will have it available to send in just the same way that they did, right? To all of these fine folks. Now, if we go to trash, nothing there. We go to addresses. What have we? Beautiful. We have this whole... Oh, nice. We have another flag. So we have this whole list of contacts. Again, flame shot. And this appears to be the same list that we had anyway. But that's kind of the deal, right? And if we go through, if we look at the TryHackMe materials... Oh, I've been remiss in saying thank you to new followers, so let's sort that out. Angry 5-year-old, great name, thank you for the follow. Kagan, thank you for the follow. All right, so we're going to get that going. We don't have roots anywhere yet. Now, what they're saying is, you know, we're doing enumerations here. What is the domain name? It's throwback.local. What is the HTTP title of the web server running on Throwback prod? We actually have that from Nmap. A throwback hacks -login. Oh, that's for the mail server, not for prod. Prod was this Windows machine here, which is 219, which will open in a new tab here. Throwback hacks. Nice. Okay. While we're here, let's add that to a new context. Good God. So much junk. W3 schools. Cloudflare. Why? No. I need to exclude the Vivaldi stuff. That's easy enough to do, though. So yeah, I switched over from using Brave to Vivaldi, and I've been enjoying it. Throwback hacks. How many ports are open on Throwback Mail? Well, we have that in our notes. Apparently it's wrong, though. 4. What service is running on Throwback FW01? DNS? Like, what version of Apache is on Throwback Mail? Okay, so on the Firewall, or 3, what do they want to say? It's DNS. Oh, pfSense is what they're after there, I think. Yeah. And then on the mail server, what version of Apache is Apache 2.4.29. Make sure you read your Nmap results. I was going to switch to Brave, but all the crypto stuff put me off. Right, so I was like, it was annoying, but I could live without it because it wasn't like too in your face. And then I learned all about the gross stuff that Brendan Ike does. And so I had to deal with that. And also, Brave is about to inject ads. So the whole thing was that they're going to they have a built-in ad blocker for everybody else, but then they're going to inject their own ads into websites. They're asking for people to pay them directly. So all Brave browser users will have those ads. So that's just cool, right? Vivaldi does not do that, and also now has a Mastodon client built right in. If you want it. I do not, but I thought that was kind of cool. You know what? Vivaldi feels like old school opera to me, which I really liked back in 2004, 2005. I'm crumbling to dust. Is Vivaldi Opera's child? Kind of. The original CEO of Opera, before it became like Opera GX and what it is now, made Vivaldi. So yes, OG Opera. Just use a stock Chromium. Do it with what you want with it. No! I will not. There are reasons why I want to have a browser that has other capabilities. Archon. We're careful with the word just around here. Okay. So they have like all this stuff. We'll play some more. We can send some fishes. We'll see if we get anything back. Why not, right? If it's in scope. You can add those into it. You get the source. I'm aware of how open source works, Archon, but I do not have the time nor the inclination to build my own browser. Vivaldi works great. And also, suggesting to all users that they can just compile a new browser is more gatekeepy than you think it is. Not everybody should have to write code in order to experience a free internet. Okay? Don't do that. Don't do that, Archon. We are hackers. No, there are many different kinds of hackers. And even if you have the capability, it shouldn't be a requirement. That's the end of that conversation. All right, not the most inventive ever. So what did we get here today? Reliable rest. Max 2 megs. Oh, reliable rest maybe won't do the job. Because it's so big. It's 12.5 megs. It's annoying. Ooh. How big is Rusty Needle? Probably bigger than 2 megs. It's 5. Well, that's annoying. I may have to use a interpreter shell just to get it going. A very simple one. Well, that's fine. Let's go to payloads. God, it's been so long. A list payloads. There we go. All right. Meanwhile, throwback hacks. What you got for me? We are gonna spider. What is this thing? Are there extensions? Yo, it's Chromium. Yeah, it's Chromium under the hood. So all my regular extensions work fine. As you can see, I've completely moved over my hack tools, proxy switching Omega, React dev tools, Angular dev tools, Wappalizer. It's all there. So it's IIS, Google Font API. Let's see. This is all, these aren't real. Yeah, these aren't real. Work, the team. These links don't do anything. All right, let's spider this with Zap first. $219. Okay. There's a robots.txt. No, there isn't. There is an action page. Here we go. So there's an action page. No, there isn't. Action page.php. Emails, food.bar. All right, let's go visit this and see what the deal is. Okay, just a 404. So there is no actual action page. There's no sitemap. Yeah, the tiling option is neat. Here's the tiling option for those of you who are interested. If I wanted to look at both of these at the same time. Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything immediately obvious here. So a little Ferox Buster might do us some good. Fire off Ferox Buster. Yeah, that looks all good. Against this site. So Ferox Buster, if you're not familiar, is the Rust directory enumerator that I prefer. or it's the directory enumerator that I prefer, written in Rust. And our arguments are as follows: -u for the URL, -w for the word list, which we're pulling from sec lists. The limit and threads will limit how many concurrent scans I have going because I don't want to kill the web server. The S is for the status codes that I'm interested in this case 200, 301, and 302. -q is for quiet, only show me the stuff that you find. And my personal favorite, burp replay, built in will proxy stuff or send stuff through a proxy running on 8080. That's what burp replay is about. You can customize that, but if it's on 8080, you can just do burp replay, and anything that it finds based on these status codes, it will throw right into your proxy, so you'll capture it in zap or burp, and then output to ferox.txt. Off we go. All right, while that's happening, let's make ourselves a little phishing payload here. Command Windows cmd Windows reverse Windows PowerShell. It's a lot of command Windows PowerShell. I'm assuming that the command Windows non-PowerShell ones will be smaller. See what this does for us. I don't want Meterpreter, though. I am real curious what they wanted us to do. Windows 64 shell reverse TCP. And we have to do a staged, I think. Because the staged is going to be smaller. Yeah, that's what they wanted. All right, we are going to have to use Metasploit here. And this is just about the size of the attachment that we get to use. So that's fine. We will... Thank you, Tmux. We will fire up the MSF console below Sliver. Does Sliver have staged payloads? No, they don't. I don't think. Maybe they do. But here's the thing. The sliver stuff is all in Go, so it's going to be big no matter what, right? Just like Rust, it's statically linked, so there's really nothing you can do about that. They are chunky. And so it's pretty common to have MSF actually. Am I crazy? I think... Start a stager listener. Yeah, you can do that. But this is more for HTTP stuff. No, it's not quite. There is a way to connect Metasploit to Sliver, but probably more trouble than it's worth at the moment. Yeah. So we will here use exploit. Can Sliver accept MSF? Your agent can. So I think it's like once you have a Sliver beacon or session, then you can send it Metasploit stuff if you want. But I think you still have to start from a Sliver beacon or session. Exploit multi-handler. Set L port 8443. That'll be our Metasploit. Set L host 10.50.9.133. And set payload. Windows. I guess there's no reason not to do this, right? As long as it's small enough. Reverse TCP. And it is staged. This is the staged version of it. Reverse TCP. Okay. So we'll take all that information and over to MSF Venom here. MSF Venom. P Windows XD4. Look at that. So thanks, fish. The format is going to be exe. It is going to be mt.exe. The L host is going to be not that. It is going to be 10.50. Nope. 10.50.9.133. And the L port is going to be 8443. Hopefully that is tiny. Under 2 megs. Oh, yeah. I'll take it. Okay, 7K. Not too shabby. So, we're going to send that. As our attachment. I really need to add the payloads folder to my bookmarks. Much better. mt.exe. Okay, attach. Okay. And off you go. Let's start the interpreter listener. On J. And we're off. Don't need any of these bins anymore. And none of this NIM stuff either. Cool. All right. I have no idea what's going to happen with that payload, if it works at all. Kind of a shot in the dark. How's Ferox Buster doing? Not finding much. Okay, I just have to know. Ah, nerds. Always checking for cross-site scripting. Uh-oh. Oh, of course. We actually got a hit back as soon as I hit. Yeah. Dang it. You know why? Use the wrong architecture. Interpreter session 1 is not valid and will be closed. That's fine. That's, you know what? That's okay, though. So, deleting these. Ah, see? Session 2 worked fine because I was using the right architecture. Okay. Sessions. Sessions I2. Yeah, there we go. Where are we? Blair J. CD downloads. All right. I want to get to Sliver instantly. So the first thing, I'm going to upload reliable rest. Okay. And then, what is it? Execute or run? Execute. Thanks. And MTLS is listening. But did that actually fire off? I'm unconvinced. Oh, nope, it worked fine. Just took a second. Okay, so we're gonna leave Interpreter up, but mostly we're gonna be in Sliver here. Awesome. So we're in Sliver. We have our Sliver payload, and Am I what? All right, so we've got ourselves a new flag, and we got to start taking some notes here. Okay, so we've now, we don't know where we are, but we know from the web server we sent mail, and now we're really in a new section here. because we're in exploitation. We're no longer enumerating. So here we're going to do phishing attachments. Phishing. So we'll say we sent... Oh, I should get it from the trash, right? Right. So, sent interpreter targets, and we got a callback. Got a callback from Blair J. Then we uploaded a sliver. I'm using all my cool flame shot tricks here. Flame shot should be part of your tool bag as well, because it's not just the screenshot, it's context, right? All right, so we've got the sliver payload going, and we will shrink this back down. Okay. And I prefer to add the arrows and call it in Word so I can edit it later on if I want it. That's fair. I don't use Word for my reports. I pretty much craft, unless I have to use Word, I'll craft everything in here, and maybe I'll toss it in Google Docs if I need to make it look like a page. Otherwise, it becomes a PDF with some custom CSS right out of Joplin. Depending on the depth of the report. When I do need to do like executive summaries with charts and stuff like that, obviously, yeah, that's when we go to Google Docs. Okay, let's go get that flag pasted in just so we're keeping track of what we're doing. What resources would you suggest to study remediation steps to provide to clients? I see potential consulting opportunities in smallish towns in my area. I want to go in as prepared as possible. Ooh, I've had this dream. Lactimus Prime. I have had this dream of, like, when I'm ready to retire, just go to a small town and become, like, the security guy for an entire town. But no. Or even I think about a lot of the small businesses here in LA who have no help, right? And like how could they get more assistance with security? So I think the first thing that you want to study is not technical. I think the first thing you want to study is business relationships. Like, understand how you can communicate technical needs to non-technical audiences. That's like that's huge, right? Because your job is to convince them that it is worthwhile for remediation, or to even accept a pen test in the first place. A lot of folks won't. If you're talking about small businesses, small towns, like that's the issue. They won't see it as a necessary expense. So how do you, one, convince them that it's necessary, and two, how do you make it palatable and not scary? And then at the next phase, once you have results, you have to understand that the folks that you're going to say have to remediate things probably don't have the capability to do so in-house. You may consider that should be a branch of your consulting wing, right? Like, hey, don't worry, we can help you fix this. If you just give them the report and say, all right, good luck, they probably won't invite you back because they want solutions, not more work. I am from Philadelphia, but I live here in Los Angeles. How are the InfoSec opportunities here? Well, it's the second largest city in America, so not bad. We have major tech companies here, including the Goog, Apple, Yahoo. So, yeah, you'd be fine. We don't talk about Snap after they ruined Venice. What user was compromised via phishing? Blair J. What machine was compromised during phishing? Hostname? I know I've got like a sysinfo, right? There's the MSF inject, by the way. Oreobyte. Inject an MSF payload into a process. So... .200.11.222 is a new host that we now have. I don't want to run a shell. I mean, I guess I can, obviously, but I don't like to, because it's not good OPSEC. So I prefer not to do that. I really thought there was like an info. There is info. There we go. There's the host name. Backed up USO1. There we go. Cool. I still haven't put in that flag. Night Ride added a bunch of new tracks last week, and I am enjoying them. Oh, wrong thing. Wait, that's the root. Maybe I missed some steps, but that's okay. Get Priz. Oh, snap! I'm in, hold on a second. Did it say I was in integrity high? I mean, but I am. I mean, cool, hold on. Ridiculous. Okay, well, couple things then. First of all, I can run all sorts of cool stuff. Right away, I know that I'm going to want to do some Active Directory work here. Right, we're in a domain, presumably. And so, but I also know that I have a system. So I'm going to fire off get system here. But if we, let me do help get system here, just because, again, we've got a little bit of, yeah. Be aware that by default, Sliver is going to, if you do a system process to inject into, it's going to do spoolssv.exe. Maybe not the right call, because there are a lot of detections for weird child processes of spoolssv.exe. So if you want to avoid that, fire off a little bit of PS here and look for anything else that has system, right? So we can do an svc host if we want. I think, yeah. Everything running a system is SVC host, so. If we do get system, just a thought. Okay, now we have a new session. And this one is system. Okay, so we've elevated to system. So Blair J was an admin. And what do we do next, chat? What do we do next? Enum AD, Fast Bloodhound. We're not going to do Bloodhound yet, because I want to see what I can do right here from this system, right? I want to dump hashes and creds. So to do that, I am going to use Sharpcats. I like doing this with the .NET assembly. It's much stealthier than like dropping Mimikatz on something. So we're going to, and by the way, I should say that Sliver has these armory tools that are some of these things that are built in, but I find that they get caught more. I don't know why that's true, but it seems to be true. I have much better luck. If we look at armory, there are a lot of packages you can install, right? Windows credentials, there's all this cool stuff, right? Windows inject, and some of them are really neat. But I am going to pretty much live with my execute assemblies for right now. So if we look at help execute assembly, some important things to know. When you do execute assembly in Sliver, you do the local file path to the assembly, and then arguments to it afterward, but you put the Sliver option flags for the execute assembly before the file path, and those really matter. Because if you want to save the output as loot, but the reason is right here. Process. Hosting process to inject into default notepad.exe. you're gonna get caught if you do this by default, right? It will be immediately obvious to any tool when, even though we changed up our hosting process for the system session, right? Even though we're in an SVC host rather than in Spool's SV, when SVC host launches Notepad, it will be very obvious. So if you want to not do that, you have to change up what you're injecting into. So just be aware of that. Right? I like to do, what else do we have on here? We have Edge or something like that. Things that would maybe make sense to launch. There are other options. CC Cleaner, great, right? Like run that as system. I don't know why that's, or CCleaner. Run that as system. It'll be less I mean, it'll be suspicious, but less so. So execute assembly. P CCleaner.exe. And what are we running? We are running this path here. Sharpcats exe. Now, Sharpcats has its own command structure. It's different than running Mimikatz directly, so it's not like secure LSA. But we'll do logon passwords. No CCleaner? Well, you know what? Let's do Spool's SV. Awesome. All right, we got some machine accounts. We've got some NTLM hashes, which is what we want. All right, I've got a Blair J NTLM hash. So I'm going to save that here. I know Sliver has a built-in loot. I don't find that as useful. Okay, what else we got? I'm also going to actually save that into here. Because we will probably fire, or we could fire Hashcat at it if we wanted. What else we got? More Blair J. More Blair J. So many auth IDs. Ooh, services. The virtual users, that's unhelpful. SSHD, come on. This is a lot of stuff. All right, looks like Blair J is the thing we got. No plaintext password. We'll fire off Credman as well, just in case. Okay. So we have ourselves an NTLM hash, which is cool for a couple of reasons. But one of them is that we can use it with crack map exec, finally. If we look at CME SMB help, they'll show us that one of the things we can do is use a there we go, hash. So we will fire that off. We'll do crack map exec. There's CME. Come on. CME, SMB. And the username in this case will be Blair J. The password we will not do. The hash we will. And we also have to give it a domain. And it's going to be throwback.local. And we authenticated with the hash. Pass the hash successful. Ooh, and I have read write to C, which means I can pivot. Okay. So I can get onto 219 and I will have admin creds there. Now, I can do this a couple of different ways. I've confirmed that I have this capability. I do not have to use crack map exec to do it, but I can in a couple of interesting ways. Okay. So one thing I could run shell commands to do this as well. Right. So I've got hashes. I'm here on reliable rest. I should get the user flag. Let's use BA777. So I'm still Blair J here rather than system. That's fine. And let's see. Let's see. Just looking. We haven't even done any of the cool Bloodhound stuff, right? We've just figured out past the hash. And we're just making sure. Okay, there's the user.text, so we'll cap that out. Okay. Okay, we're back in downloads. That. Nope, wrong. Okay, so this is the workstation. Got the user flag here. Now, before we pivot, and we can do a lot of cool stuff. Before we pivot, let's get a sense of what we are dealing with. And for that, I am going to use sharphound. So back here in Sliver, we're going to execute assembly, just like we did before. And instead of that, we're going to do oh, wait. Sharphound isn't in there, is it? Weirdly. Right. I do this every time and I forget about it. I gotta go get Sharphound. Bloodhound, GitHub. Because the way that it works... Dark, please. the way that it works is I have to sign in to GitHub. I will do that later. There's Sharphound. Right. Download this. We're going to save it to scripts and Bloodhound. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to save it there. I'm going to save it to Sharp Collection because this is where I always go for my .NET assemblies. Keep it anyway, please. It's nice that it gives me that option, which Brave does not. Otherwise, I would have to use wget. That's fine. Okay, so now... All right, there is that, and we're going to do sharphound.exe, and we're going to do see all for all collection methods. And again, remember that I am doing this as the user because I want the user's permissions, right? Because system isn't helpful in that regard. I mean, it's all LDAP queries anyway. Hey, Lasso. All right, so Bloodhound's doing its thing. Ferox Buster can just stop, I think, if it hasn't already. Nothing at all here. I don't know if there was supposed to be a web shell, but we haven't gotten there yet. And plus, I want to focus on the kind of Windows stuff. That's what I need to practice, right? So, okay. Now, in terms of pivoting... Implant timeout. I might have messed this up. In this case... So this is going to be Notepad. So it's still not great, but I want to see if this does any better. I think the issue was here, where I was firing off at spools SV, but that can't, I don't think that can run from the regular user. I suspect. Now, if we need to go back and run this as system, it is what it is. Those file rights will be obvious, so I'd prefer to do it as the user. Because this will create a zip file. Ooh, unable to connect to LDAP. Verify your credentials. Interesting. Okay, well, we can't run Bloodhound from here. Shockingly. But I can... Okay, so we can try to the other pivot. So we knew that crackmap exec gave us access on 219. And that machine is probably a little bit spicier than this workstation. So I want to move over to the workstation. So to do that... And actually, now that I think about it, let's start drawing a little bit of a diagram here. So we have a pivot diagram. I'm going to put that for a specific host. We're going to go here. Pivot diagram. So what do we know so far? We have... Throwback. We have WSO1, right? We have that workstation. And it is... owned. Okay. And we also know we have... This is... what IP? .200.11.222. Okay. So we know that's good. Make that a little bit bigger. And we know that we have our target is 219. And we know that 232 is up in the mix as well. Turn this blue for now because it's or green for target. Yeah, there we go. And we know that 232 is up in the mix as well. This is not Workstation 01. This is Throwback Prod. And 232 is the Firewall, right? I believe that is what we have from the mail server. It says the mail server is owned, but it isn't really, right? Because we don't have a shell on it. We just have, we just logged into the web portal. And 176 is the time, and Throwback Prod. Now, interestingly, I can't seem to hit the DC from here. It doesn't seem like I can. All right, so I don't know what that's about, but I know that I can definitely get to Throwback Prod. So this is kind of my next point of attack. And then 176, the time server, we haven't seen that yet either, I don't think. It's revealed it for us, but we have not played with it just yet. So yeah. So how do we move? We have a bunch of different ways that we can do this. Plainly, I can pivot directly because I have write permissions to C. Okay? So that's simple. I can just like PS exec and call it a day. That's pretty noisy, but it is not impossible. I would prefer not to do that though. So what are some other ways that we can make this happen? Well, because I have these read-write permissions, I can drop stuff in places like C program data, right? And in so doing, I can then also trigger commands. So I don't have to pivot directly inside of Sliver, right? I can use crackmap exec to start up other sessions in Sliver on other hosts rather than doing kind of like a pivot chain. I can do that, but in this case, I don't necessarily have to. So let me show you what I mean here. With crackmap exec, where's my put file? So I can just put file. And so that's kind of the first thing I'm going to do is put file, and it's payloads reliable rest.exe, and we're going to put it on program data. So it's uploaded. And now I can execute it with -x. Hey, look, a new session just came in from Throwback Prod. Thank you, Crack Map Exec. Shut that down. I still get the session. So now I have a new session from Throwback Prod as Blair J, without having to do like a direct pivot. Because I had that hash, I could just like drop that, and it's now. How I dropped something else to disk? Sure have. Is that better or worse than doing PS exec? Depends on the environment. I actually would say that a file write is less noisy. If it's a file write that you know can be stealthy, then I would say that that is less noticeable than a PS exec run. Okay. So now we have pivoted successfully to Throwback Prod. We'll mark that as pwned. And this is the firewall. I like it. Just to show you what this looks like when it's rendered. Right, so it's a little bit cleaner. Okay, so 219. This is Throwback Prod. And we did it via SMB exec. And we'll get a screenshot of the crack map exec run that did it. And we'll redact the hash. Just trying to be very good about how we do this. Any questions so far? Everybody's really quiet today. No questions. Watching working on labs. Totally fine. All right, we're on Throwback Prod. Ooh. Hopefully we're still up. Yeah, we're still up. Ooh, there's a web server. Yes. I mean, hardly necessary. I want to get into Throwback before my exam just to get that experience. Yeah, you're studying for the OSCP, right, Matt? Trying to keep track of what everybody's studying for. Very cool. What are these? This is some nonsense. This is something that somebody put in there. It's cat update.ps1. Mm-hmm. That's my IP. Is Throwback a shared lab? It's a little shared, yeah. All right, let's go to users. What kind of prefs do I have on here? Same deal. Get system. There it is. Okay. So same situation. We're going to, again, try to get everything from LSASS that we can. All right, that screenshot's good because it shows us that we're on Throwback prod as system. Okay. Okay, and now we're gonna go back to our execute assembly stuff. Yes, I'm gonna scroll back up this far. There we go. This is the one. That was quick. That was really fast. Oh, hey, look, we got a plain text. We got a plain text password for Blair now. Well, that's nice. Thank you, W Digest. We're already admin on this system, so we don't need any of that. But I want to try to run Bloodhound again. One adapter's not shown. Maybe that's loopback. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah, we're going to try Sharphound again. But I'm going to CD... Or where am I? I'm in users, right? No, I'm system right now. Let's go back to the Blair J. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that difference, right? So this one says it's Blair J local, and this one shows that it's a domain user. That's the difference. Okay, so we should be able to use Bloodhound on this session. So we'll go there. And we're in users, CD, Blair J, downloads. That's not a thing. Downloads. Much better. Okay. Now, there are definitely root shells on here. Yeah. We'll get those. We'll knock those out. I don't really care so much about flags as I care about completing the path. But while we're here, so we're on the... Where's prod? Did I miss it? Yeah. What is the flag for the poisoned user? Poisoned user. I didn't even do responder. I haven't even done that yet. I haven't needed to. Oops. But that's okay. We're taking our own way through this. I keep forgetting to put the / at the end. Spooks. Once again. Okay, so not spooks. What about... There's a lot of them here. Administrator. We did that one. That was root. Boxer. No. Web service. I'm confident that we're going to be able to curb roast something, but we're not there yet. Humphrey W. Horseman B. Peters J. What's the other one? There it is. Okay, so we'll cap that out. You're wondering why I'm not using the home and end keys? It's because Sliver doesn't use them, which is a pain. Okay. Apparently, that was the poisoned user. That was probably what we got from responder, but we didn't. And then the second user flag on throwback prod. We'll find it, but not right now. Okay, so now it is definitely time. It doesn't have like a control R, does it? Oh, it does! Yes! Yes, 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 yes! That's cool. Execute assembly, P. What is running on here? Not much. Oh. As an SSH session. Peters J does. Interesting. Well, you know what? Let's actually do this as system then. No, because I want to save it as a user. Execute assembly. Tiny bug on my microphone. All right. Change this up to sharp hound. And contact LDAP. What? Unable to connect to LDAP. Verify your credentials. Like, what? Is the DC not on? Broken Sword. Thank you so much for the follow. Also, great character from the movie Hero. Sanjian. Unable to contact LDAP. Verify your credentials. Well, now I'm a little confused. So we have this other machine that has appeared, which is the time machine. So we'll fire Rust Scan off at that. 176. Maybe you can help us out here. .176. And map time. Wasn't the problem before because of Spool's SV? No, not quite Armestic. So it didn't run at all. It timed out when I did Spool's SV. This time I didn't use that. Oh wait, yes I did. Good catch. Although it ran. That's interesting. Yeah, no. The problem... I'm going to drop into a shell here. Yes, it's bad OPSEC. By the way, this is default PowerShell, which is kind of interesting. Get net IP address. What you got for me? So we have 10.200.11.219, but get net IP address. Select IP address. I don't need everything else. Thank you. Okay, so no hidden nicks, just 10.200.11.219. Fine. And ping throwback PC01. What the? Okay. So it's up. I swear that doesn't work correctly. Can I hit the DC? No. Okay. Now we're ready for some pivoting. God, that's weird. All right, how do we want to do this? We can hit the DC from Throwback Prod. Maybe the first thing to do is try to upload Sharphound and run it directly. Although, it's weird that I wasn't able to hit LDAP at all. Import module. Is it here? does not have the Active Directory web services running. Interesting. If I curl throwback DC01, there should be a web service on it. Web services are running. Okay, so that's cool. I want to enumerate the DC, which we now know. Ping throwback DC01 is 10.200.11.17. We'll even give it a nice little... Obviously, we want to get to the domain controller. And then let's modify the diagram here to show our domain controller. Was it 117? DC01. And what's interesting is Throwback Prod can connect to it, but we cannot. So this may require a pivot. I'm going to also put Kali on here just to indicate what we've connected to. So Kali is on workstation 01 and is also directly on Throwback Prod. And these are both sliver agents. You can add text to these, but okay. So we've got a sliver agent on both of these. Now, in order for us to do anything useful with the DC, I can't directly connect to it, so we have a couple of options depending on what we want to do. But first, okay, that doesn't work at all. That doesn't work. That's so crazy. So it's just like it's part of the domain, but it can't hit it for LDAP for whatever reason. Interesting. Was I able to get the... Can't hit that either. So can I ping throwback time from here? There is not ls with command.exe. Oh, right. And yes, I can hit time from here. Okay, so I actually can't get to the time machine from here. So that may be something we're going to have to handle. Let's go to the diagram. Great Scott. Nice. That's what, 176? Really wish you would remember that I like night mode. All right, so yeah, let's just do a sanity check there. I did it again. Throwback. DC01. I don't think that was the issue. But let's go back to on 219. It's 9C. Oh, Kieran, thanks for the gift to Matt. Now let's just confirm that I can't hit this thing from my machine. Oh, I can. Lovely. All right, so we have some, and we have a plain text password to get in for Blair. So we have a couple, oh, and we also have a hash which we can use with RDP. So, okay, we know we need to get to the time machine. We know that it's doing something. I've got chisel. That's interesting. SQL pwn, sharp stay, sharp up. Hey, Ginge. Oh, boy. Glad you're here. Okay, so I want a... Actually, will seatbelt do this for me? Good question. No. No, this is all situational awareness. I need a .NET port scanner. That's what I need. I also know there's like a Go port scanner. It's like port scanner Go. These are all, God, it's terrible. Wait just a moment. Can Sliver just do this for me? I'm being silly. Armory. Armory, install Windows. A situational awareness. And sharp up, sharp view. Ashkrez, Kerberos, Snow, some B info, remote ops, handles. Sliver to proxy chains. That's so slow. But yeah, that might be what we have to do. Sliver proxy. It's a proxy change. There's definitely a PowerShell port scanner. We want to avoid those. Don't love that. Not enough. You know what's funny is that I should have just taken the port scanner we wrote in Offensive Notion and made it its own thing, so we could drop it. Yeah, it's a really good port scanner. That's silver. Did I put in silver or sliver? I put in sliver. I'm not crazy. I swear there's a way to do this. Well, we can do nmap, I guess. Proxy chains. Ugh. All right, this is the thing that I need to get better at, so let's do it. All right. So SOX 5 is on. Let me talk through what I need to do here. So I need to get nmap over proxy chains, which means I need to port forward or reverse port forward, right? Crap. This is why I took notes. These are my CRT notes. Okay. Which should have been more detailed, apparently, on how to use proxy chains. Hactrix, proxy chains. I'm just, I'm fuzzy on the directionality here, so. But I'm gonna get there. So open a port in team server listening. So in band SOCKS 5 proxy. Okay, so if you do SOCKS 5. SOCKS 5 start. Started SOCKS 5 on 8081. Oh, and that means I have to change proxychange.conf, right? So if I do 1081, is that literally it? If I just do proxy chains nmap ssa oh no, because it has to be TCP only, right? ST using my nmap flag mug. ST 10 200.11. Let's try 219 is the DC, right? No, the DC is 117, which is what I want. Holy crap, actually worked. So we got a web server, 445. Okay. Neat. And now we'll go after the 176 is the time machine. So there's a web server. There's also remote desktop. So it's a straight up Windows machine. Ooh, 3306. There's a MySQL server on there as well. All right. SSH. Well, I'll tell you what. We have a straight up password for Blair J. Every time. Whoops. So we're going to go 10.200.11.219. Blair J, password is that, and the domain is throwback.local. This is going to make life a lot easier, I suspect. There we go. Did we get this user.txt? I think we didn't. So we'll grab that flag. Yeah, okay. So that's throwback prod fully sorted. Okay. But now, here's the reason I did that. First thing is network discovery is off. Oh no, it's not. Let's see. We do throwback time. Is that what it's called? Yes, it is. Okay. But we know that we have the IP address, so we'll give that a shot too. 176, 10.200.11.176. 10.200. Okay. So it's not available over SSH. Found some OKs though. We've got a web server. All right, so we got a web server, and that's kind of where I want to start this process before we go any crazier. I mean, there's MySQL on there as well, which is interesting, 3306. But we're gonna do a port forward. So we do a port forward add. We'll do a help for that just so we make sure that we get all the options in the right order. Right, so port forward add. We're going to bind not to 8080. We'll do to 9999. And the remote is going to be 10.200.11.176 on port 80. Now, back in our session here, if we go to localhost 9999, wait. Did I just forget how to write URLs for a second? There we go. Interesting. So now we have a web interface. And timekeeper user login. Your password should not be the same as your network ID. I mean, okay. But is it anyway? If we try Blair J. Localhost refused to connect. Is that a proxy problem? Unfortunately, this is bypassing Zap, so we're not seeing exactly what's happening there. In throwback areas, everything is a proxy problem. Okay, that's kind of helpful. Hollow is unworkable. It's too unstable. I'm beyond recon, random user. They wanted us to do responder, which we can do. We also haven't done the firewall yet. So we'll take a look at that. 10.200.11.138. And what is their... Oh, we have some enum questions, right? So we'll do... The CEO is Summers Winters. Nice. How's lab so far? You know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. Where is the company located? Is this just... This is a reading test. Are you a literate human being? Great Britain. Glad I took pictures. Welcome, TBH. You know what I just realized? So Myst, right? Obviously that's where the follow sound comes from, and that's, you know, one of my favorite games ever. The way that you used to play Myst is that you would, you know, take pictures and take notes, and that's how you solved all the puzzles. Myst is pen test training. That's what it is. Because you can't solve the puzzles without taking notes and remembering stuff from before, and how to pivot from one place to another. Yeah, okay. That's what you should do. The first thing you should do in a like ethical hacking course is have everybody play Myst. Absolute Zero, thank you for the follow. So is Cyberpunk. Why? Because everything's broken? I kid. Oh, your team has informed you. Thank you so much for that information. Your team has informed you that the PF Sense box may be running in a default configuration. Well. All right, so the thing about the was 238, because we haven't done the firewall yet. Let's go and make a new host listing here for 10.200.11.138. pfSense. My old buddy. This is a feature I use constantly in Markdown, which is the insert quote. Very nice bit of formatting there. So it says your team has informed you the pfSense bots may be running in a default config. I love to hear that. That would mean that the admin and pfSense hooray! That access brought to you by me having set up pfSense a bunch of times. Oops. Don't do this in a real test. Don't be sarcastic. But come on. On a firewall? Okay. Well, this is nice. Let's go find what do we have here? Let's go to interfaces or firewall. Let's go to aliases. Do you have any aliases set up for me? No, of course not. Networks to NAT. No. VPN. DHCP on. DNS forwarder. Is the DNS resolver on? Ooh. Breach gtfo.local. It's interesting. Joplin better than Notion for you. So you cannot use Notion for red team or pen test engagements if sensitive data is going to be stored in the notes. You can't do it because Notion stores its data on the cloud. In fact, it stores it in S3 in assets in infrastructure you don't control. You cannot responsibly put data there. The way that I have Joplin set up is that it is end-to-end encrypted in Joplin Cloud or on my own system if I want to just keep it local. But it is encrypted, and I am the only one with the passkey. That is the way that you store sensitive data. So you cannot use Joplin, or you cannot use Notion. And it gets worse. If you use Notion, so like, and I use Notion for other stuff, but if you use Notion for this and then you share links, you'll find out that you get, like, if you share a link to an image or something that you've attached to a note, what you get is a link to an S3 asset with a 24-hour lease. A 24-hour lease. That's hard-coded. You can't change it. So, no. Notion's cool for a bunch of stuff. It's not cool for that. That's why I use Joplin. Or one reason I do. All right. Notion isn't bad. It's just not the right... It's not fit for purpose for red team or pen test notes. Do we have any VIPs? Like, what is this firewall even doing? All right, we do. We have a loopback interface for IPsec client DNS. Oh, so there's like a VPN. Interesting. Okay. I've been stuck using CT. What is CT? Cherry tree? Oh, okay. Oh, nice. That's handy. User root has privileges all. Cool. System setup wizard. User manager. Bob. Oh, by the way, can I SSH into this thing? $138? Permission denied public key. No worries. And, no, it is going to be a member of admins. Faux show. Enter authorized SSH keys for this user. You betcha. Hey, look! I got a shell in the firewall. Hey, look! I got a root shell in the firewall. I have no idea if that was the way we were supposed to do it, but I bet it is really helpful. Yeah. All right. Get root.txt. Thank you for that default password in pfSense. Let's take note of this here. cdu quiz. No reverse shell necessary. This is just shell. I SSH'd into the firewall. So we did the firewall here, right? We created a user basically and made them an admin is what happened. And because it was looking for an SSH key authentication, I just used my own public key. Work smarter, not harder. All right, so we've got root on the firewall. And it only has, so I want to see the interfaces that we have here. I mean, does this thing have, can we shut down rules? Yeah, we can. All right. Here we go. All right, so we're going to allow default HTTP rule. WAN addresses. Now, hold on a second. The WAN is this XN0. Yeah, that's unhelpful because it's getting pulled from DHCP. Okay, so that's not really where I want to go. Just, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why forget pivoting? You can set up your own routes. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. We have default OpenVPN. So there's OpenVPN. That's interesting. Default HTTP rule. WAN destination. So this is like allow all, but block background networks. But I'm not seeing any direct denies. I think it's host based. I think it's host based firewalls for everything else. No, we're gonna leave this alone for now. I mean, you can look if you want to see what it's seeing. We can go to the status system logs and go see it in real time. Attack with danger 10. $17.59. That's UTC. That's $9.59. That was like a while ago. Maybe it's not in UTC. Yeah, okay, here goes 20. Oh, it is. I guess we all get the same IP address. That's very funny. Okay. So we got the firewall. Oh, that's really funny. What password, pfSense? What menu contains a command prompt? The pfSense. That's right. There's a PHP command one as well. No, Ness, no. There's no reason to do that though. Like if you can just get root on the thing, why bother? That's pretty funny. What's the log flag? Oh no, it shut me down. Did it reset? Oh, it did. Oh, there's a flag.txt. Did we run out of time? Did I let it expire? I see a Clouder. Oh, it stopped. So wait, how's it going? It's going. That sucks. I'm gonna have to get all my sessions back. Tell you what, I actually had a great night last night. I hung out with GoPro in Meat Space. Confirmed that I am not just a complex AI. Oh, it's so annoying. And, like, this won't work anymore, right? I have to redo... Oh, God, do all the port forwarding. Yeah, these are all dead. Okay. But we have passwords now, so we can hop back in pretty fast once everything comes back up. Not up yet. Does take a moment for the network to spin back up. Reefus2471, thank you so much for the follow. I knew we weren't going to finish the whole network today. I knew that. That was fine. That's why I named it Part 1. But so far, honestly, pretty smooth sailing. Do I need to restart the VPN? That's possible. Yeah, this isn't up. Will. All right, it's been 5 minutes. I'm still not able to hit the host. And it claims that it's running. Ah, try hack me. See, this is why I have my own lab. But these are tricky labs to set up. Well, I think we maybe stop it there for right now, friends. It's been 3 hours. So, part 1, we've accomplished quite a bit. we were able to take over the firewall. We were able to take over 3 machines. And we still have the mail server. We have to get to the DC. And it looks like now that the map is showing us this, we're also going to have to pivot into a subdomain with a domain trust. No, it's fine. It's been a nice long stream. We'll see if there's anybody else who is streaming right now. Oh, perfect. Nova is streaming. I've never gotten to raid Nova, so we shall do so. Yep. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Lots of good success here, and there will be more to come next Saturday. We'll do this again, I think. What's next Saturday? The 24th? Yeah, sure. But I will also be back, I think, on Wednesday, schedule permitting, and doing some programming stuff. If you have holidays coming up, have a great holiday weekend, and stay safe, stay warm, and of course, as always, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and happy hacking. We'll see you next time.